Ooh, greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here,
And Blue Dragon 5.
and welcome to our countdown of the top 10 most anticipated films of 2024. That's right, Dragon. Let's get right into it. I structured my list very specifically where I, I have like one or two franchise things in here, maybe three, I think, total. But really, Dragon, I left most of the franchise stuff up to you. So I feel like even though our lists are going to be very different, I think at least for my end, there's going to be a lot of crossover where I am looking forward to a lot of the stuff on your list. It's just kind of like I wanted to diversify my list a little bit, get a little bit more, of the offshore A24 weird shit type stuff in there.
And how's that been
Um,
panning out for you
so
so
speaking
far?
of yeah. So speaking of sure A24 style weird shit, Dragon, we have my number 10, which is pretty much the most sure
A
A25
tour!
sorry, A24 style weird thing on my list, which is Love Lies Bleeding, which I don't have a ton of hype around. It's coming out pretty soon. Honestly, I don't really think the trailer did it a lot of favors because it's one of those trailers that's just like, hey kids, you want to know the whole plot of the movie in 2.5 minutes? But this is directed by the woman who directed Saint Maud. Now, Dragon, Saint Maud was a very low scale, kind of like religiously themed horror movie back in I want to say 2021, and up until Talk to Me, I would say Saint Maud had the best horror movie ending of the 2020 so far. This is not a horror movie. This is more in line with like the erotic revenge thriller category, where essentially the whole premise is that this woman is torn between her love life and also getting revenge on the people that killed her father. So it's very much kind of like her trying to balance those two things. I'm looking forward to it mostly just based on, like I said, that director. Teddy, the movie is Love Lies Bleeding. It's the new movie from the director of Saint Maud, 2021 Saint Maud, which is mostly the only reason why I'm looking forward to it. Although I will say I'm not really that much of a revenge movie kind of guy, so we'll see how it goes. This is just like a sophomore film from a promising director, so I'm very curious to check those out. I'm always into those. All right, Dragon, you're number 10.
So, overall, I mean, well, because of a lot of factors, I think one of which being the strike having impacted things a little bit, and just kind of the studios restructuring and spacing things out and all sorts of stuff. It's kind of a slim year. It's a lean year we have coming up here. It seems, and between that and just kind of between just kind of looking at it in terms of like the movies that I can actually I'm kind of I can get excited for. At least there's like a thing of intrigue there versus stuff that I'll end up watching when it eventually streams. Stuff I can actively kind of like what there's something to glom on to with that film or something or kind of a vested interest. It's kind of how I've been kind of structuring these. So number 10 for me is Beetlejuice 2.
Oh man, yeah, this was actually the closest thing from your list that was closest to make my list because this could either be a good return to form or just like kind of the final Dragon. If this is bad, I would say this is the final nail in the coffin of Tim Burton's career.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So two things to bear in mind: Beetlejuice 2. One, it's the novelty of. I think for me, mostly it's the novelty of seeing Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian kind of pay off.
Well, it's so weird the fact that like not just Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian, but all those like Beetlejuice 2 has been like one of the big like fans love to make like photoshopped posters of it and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So it is very surreal to actually see it materialize.
Yeah, that's not the actual poster, by the way. That one,
Oh, I
that
know
one.
it's not.
See,
It's just
unfortunately,
a good example of the fan posters.
yeah. So unfortunately, we realized is in the making of this early out, we're not going to have posters for everything yet.
Yeah,
A little bit of
unfortunately.
guesswork there, unfortunately. But anyway, so it's always been, Beetlejuice has been talked up for a long time. Most famously for me, Kevin, how it factors into the whole Superman Lives of it all, where one of the three projects Kevin Smith was offered, one of which I'm convinced was going to be was kind of like almost like a pseudonym for Watchmen. Was offered Beetlejuice 2, Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian, and was offered Superman Lives. So the other thing, I think it's pretty much what you said, Tiki, is that this is Tim Burton's last shot.
Yep.
This is like, if this isn't a
The
return
last
to form,
temptation of Burton.
yeah. So again, this could bring Burton back to his roots. I mean, aside from Pee Wee, it was Pee Wee, then Beetlejuice, then Batman. Like
Mhm.
these were the early milestones for him. And Beetlejuice, you don't really have to reinvent the wheel, and you don't have to go like whole modern Gothic versus traditional Tim Burton old school Gothic. It's like, we don't have to necessarily put a bunch of CG in there, but then again, the temptation might be there. I'm hoping it isn't, but I mean, we'll see. But it's kind of a thing where I think this movie's not super high on my list because chances are we're looking at like a yet another franchise cash in that's not going to be as good as the original. I'm not saying the odds are looking against that. I'm not delusional, but
Especially for like a decades later comedy.
yeah.
I literally, has there ever been a sequel to a comedy decades later that's actually been good? Ever?
Well, I mean, we did really Pee Wee's Big Holiday.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That is actually a solid example.
Anyway, so but that's the thing. So it's kind of like it's kind of like throwing caution away. Well, we already brought Keaton back as Batman, so I mean, why not Beetlejuice to say we did it all with him? We brought back, what's next, Mr. Mom, the sequel when the kids are all grown up, Mr. Grandma.
uh-huh.
But yeah, so I don't know. I'm eager to see Keaton return. In all seriousness, and to see like does Tim Burton still have it? Because a lot of people loved Wednesday. I still haven't finished it, but it's like I don't know. Well, Burton might have a shot at it here.
All right. Just to go into some comments here. Colby says, I'm six already? Jesus Christ. Into this year, and I missed 2023 already. Not a lot I'm super looking forward to this year. Colby, like I will see a lot of stuff, but even I have enough dignity to not see Night Swim. Okay, I'm sorry. I am not going to see
You
Night
don't have
Swim.
dignity not to see Night Swim.
I'm just not. I'm not gonna stoop that low. All right. Let's see. Teddy says, I'm done with promising directors after Ari Aster broke my heart. Yeah, Teddy, that is very fair. Although I will say the frustrating thing about Beau is Afraid is that it's literally half of a great movie and then it just falls off a cliff. So, all right, let's see. Teddy also says Beetlejuice is interesting because, like Tiki said, it could either be terrible or an incredibly fun sequel. Indeed. Kogia says Beetlejuice 2 is one of my most anticipated films of the year. If The Flash taught me anything, it's that I still have a lot of love for Tim Burton and Michael Keaton. I also love Jenny Ortega.
Mhm. Yeah,
Teddy says,
I think the word is she's supposed to be Wednesday. Sorry, she's supposed to be. She wasn't Wednesday. She's supposed to be Lydia's daughter.
it would genuinely surprise me if she was not playing that role. I agree.
Yeah.
Teddy says I will say I did really like Wednesday. I liked Wednesday. I honestly think Wednesday was kind of like a victim of its own hype because
Hmm.
my God, by the end of 2022, I was so sick of seeing that dance everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, but Wednesday is a solid. Wednesday was definitely a much more solid Adams Family project than the Adams Family animated movies were. I'll give it that much. Although I will always be a Munsters guy in my heart.
Yep.
uh, Little Blue says, first Michael Keaton returns to the Dark Knight, and now he'll be back as the ghost with the most, baby.
Yep.
Kokia says Tim Burton never lost his way.
Come on.
Kokia,
I'm just, I'm
your
just
hot
gonna ask.
takes, buddy. Your hot takes.
You know what? I'm just gonna ask. Okay, I'm just gonna ask. Gibbs, are you messing with us? Okay, because every time are you messing with us?
Dark
If you're not,
Shadows, Dumbo 2019.
if you're not, that's fine. I'm just genuinely curious because it's every time. I just gotta know.
All right, all right.
Okay, we love you either way. I just want to know.
Okay, Colby says he caught it today. It's bad. Yeah, I figured. All right. Anyways, so yeah, next up, number 9 for me. This is gonna go by super quick. It's Dune Part 2 or Dune 2 or whatever the hell it's called. Dune Chapter 2, Dune 2 Electric Boogaloo. I don't know. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about this. Obviously, it should have come out last year, but it did not because of the actors' strike and the studios were greedy and the actors needed to promote the movie. God damn it. You know, I will say I'm a little bit like the first movie is one of those movies where the theatrical experience for me was incredible, but it's not a movie I can watch at home. I just disengage with it if it's not in a big theater setting. But I'm still very much looking forward to it, especially with the bigger emphasis on the kind of like the more alien side of things, because the first movie was a lot of politics. And this movie seems like it's going to be going more into the spiritual side of the planet with the worm riding and everything. So, really looking forward to that. Dave Bautista still very, very impressive based on the trailer. I'm really looking forward to seeing his role. I'm really not a fan of the novel. I tried reading the novel a couple times. I really couldn't get through it, but I am looking forward to seeing what becomes of this movie, which has been like just kind of like so highly sought after by the film community after it was delayed.
What to do? What to do? What to do?
Teddy says tune.
Yep.
All right, you're number 9.
Fall Guy.
Fall Guy. Okay, this was another one where it's like I'm actually glad it appeared on your list because it probably would have been my number 11. Only reason it wasn't on my list is that I'm not as big of a David Leitch guy as you are.
True. Yeah, here's the thing. This is going to be like a David Leitch action comedy follow-up to Bullet Train to some degree. It's not like a sequel or anything. I'm just saying this is what the director is doing next after after Bullet Train in that same fashion of film. It seems like kind of like the action movie with some comedy in it. Very stunt focused. I loved Bullet Train. I really like David Leitch's style, so I'm kind of sold just in like, hey, David Leitch has another one coming out. He did really impress me in Bullet Train. I think he did a really good job on Deadpool 2. Didn't eclipse the first one, but he did a good job. So yeah, I'm not as insanely sold as I was with the trailer of Bullet Train. With this trailer just is like, okay, it's just kind of David Leitch having fun with it. I'll give him a shot. I think it's a safe bet that it's going to be enjoyable. I don't think it's going.
I mean, this trailer is basically just like, hey guys, Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, we lit Ken on fire.
Has to do.
We literally lit Ken on fire.
Right.
But yeah, so it's like I think like John Wick, like his work on John Wick, the original. Is like there's going to be a reverence for the stuntman, so I think that's going to be an interesting component of the movie. That this movie is following a stuntman. I think there's might be a lot of like let's give credit to kind of following the stuntman, just kind of seeing what probably a real stuntman goes through in the industry and put him in kind of this fun circumstance.
Sure. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of a comparison to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with that. All right. Was that it?
We have some comments.
Okay, let's see. Little Blue says Code Geass has a point about what he said about Burden. It's just that Burden somehow gets pushed by Hollywood, like what Disney did to him with Dumbo. I mean, yeah, but like for me, I feel like Sweeney Todd was the last Burden movie to really hit. If you were born of a certain demographic, probably Alice in Wonderland. But I kind of can't stand his version of Alice in Wonderland.
I think honestly it was Alice in Wonderland onwards when he just kind of lost the step.
I kind of agree. Yeah,
I'm just saying like when he just relied on like CG's not a deal breaker, but sometimes it's like when we're going to Alice in Wonderland, it's all dingy.
Well, I mean, Big Eyes didn't have CG, and you like Big Eyes better than I did. But for me, I do like Big Eyes was just like I mean, Teddy, I tell you, Big Eyes is probably the best movie he's done
Has
since
Burton done other
Sweeney Todd.
biopics?
What?
Has Burton done other biopics?
Well, obviously Ed Wood.
Oh, sorry, you're right. Yeah, that's the Yep, you're right. So
I
we have Ed
can't
Wood and you
think
have
of any
Big
others
Eyes.
off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Uh-huh.
All right.
All right. Frankenweenie was good, Little Blue. That was solid. I will give you that.
That
That
is,
was a
yeah,
solid
Frank
movie
Wayne.
for sure.
That's fair.
All right. Colby says, I hate you.
However,
What?
to be fair, Frank and Winnie was like that was like based on the short film he had come up with like ages ago. So I don't know if that one really that was like fulfilling a promise. Though that wasn't really like, and it was in stop motion, which is kind of where I don't know
Sure.
that one. I don't know if I count that as like modern Burton. I think it's a carryover.
Well, I mean, the original film wasn't even stop motion, though.
Well, no, I'm just saying that he's using the kind of the tricks of the early trade for him. We did the
Right.
short film, and then he did his early work at Disney, and then obviously where that went. So I don't know. I think that's still like it's still classic Burton kind of seeped out of there on that one.
Okay, Keeper Colby says, I hate You Give Love a Bad Name because of how many times I've seen this trailer in theaters. Dragon, one of the movies that's on your list is very much going to fit that description for me. We'll get to it. Okay,
Teddy, look, I knew I love Ed Wood. All right, I slipped through it. All right, we had a heck of a time getting on tonight. I'm sorry. All right. I'm having a bad night, and you're not helping, Teddy.
You're fine. You're fine, Dragon. You're fine. Miss Peregrine, honestly, I didn't even see Miss Peregrine, so it could be good.
You just said Miss Peregrine.
I did just say Miss Peregrine.
Yes, you
right?
Are you trying to set Peregrine up? Are you telling me something about Peregrine I didn't know?
Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. Next up, we have number 8. This is the second out of 3 franchise movies for me. It is Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Yeah, I am very excited about this. Honestly, I'm kind of annoyed at the discourse around the trailer of like, oh, it's a lot of CG. It's like, yeah, but it still looks really cool for me. Like, I don't like I agree that it might be a little bit too much CG compared to Fury Road, but Fury Road, Dragon, I know you and I disagree on Fury. Like for me,
well, I don't hate it.
no, I know you don't hate it, but like it's like in my top 3 of the 2010s, like period. So like clearly there's a little bit of a a disconnect on our opinions there. I know you like it, but not necessarily love it. Like for me, if this was not being done by George Miller, I would not be nearly as excited about it. Like that's why Planet of the Apes isn't on my list. I'm glad it's on your list, Dragon, but Planet of the Apes just has the factor of like no Andy Serkis, no Matt Reeves, so we'll see how that goes. But it is being done by George Miller, and it's got Anya Taylor-Joy, who I will say I probably like as an actress even better than Charlize Theron, with all due respect to Charlize Theron. I think Anya Taylor-Joy in her short career so far has just had a really captivating screen presence. So, yeah, I'm very excited about this. Just more Mad Max, more War Boys, more lovely, lovely day. I'm excited. But, I will say that the trailer, like visually, it's not as captivating as something like Fury Road. And I do hope that the CGI is minimal for sure. But still, I'm very excited about it regardless. All right, number 8 for you.
Argyle.
All right, this is the one. This is the one where I'm sick of this trailer, Dragon. I am so fucking sick of this trailer. I don't know, man. This trailer just has like a, oh, look at us. Aren't we fucking clever kind of vibe to it? I don't know.
I didn't really get clever. I saw like, hey, this looks kind of fun, guys. Like, I don't know. It was Matthew Vaughn. You and I really like Matthew Vaughn's style. You're kind of like, yeah, he's okay.
I think Matthew Vaughn is pretty style over substance myself. I don't really care.
Come on, the original Kingsman movie had a lot of good.
That's probably his best movie, and then everything else from that was pretty downhill. That's what I'm saying. Like the original Kingsman, First Class was okay, I guess.
Anyway. Regardless, yeah, I mean, I like it still. And this is basically Matthew Vaughn's version of the Lost City. Essentially, for all intents and purposes, that's what this movie is. There are no illusions there. It's essentially what this premise is. I basically a writer gets caught up in the espionage, kind of like something akin to Romancing the Stone, which again is very much kind of what we have in the Lost City. It's got a stacked cast, man. I love this cast. You got Sam Rockwell, you got Bryce Dallas Howard, you got Cavill essentially being able to play Bond in a unique way, it seems, in kind of a cheeky way.
Hmm.
Also, we got Cranston in there. A little Cranston never hurt anybody.
But Cranston he looks like he's so on autopilot in this trailer, Dragon.
Well, even if he is, man, it's Cranston.
I'm just saying, man, he is just playing like
Cranston
baseline.
could read the phone book and be like, you know what? Why can't all the phone books sound like that?
Oh God.
Why can't he be the movie? Why can't he be the new movie phone guy? Let's do that.
Oh my God.
Anyway, let's see.
I
So,
will say, I think he could take over Nicole Kidman's job pretty well.
yeah, dear God, yes. Oh, you know what? I saw. I think it was for Aquaman. Oddly enough, this is so funny because it's so weird. Okay, Nicole Kidman, not as much as she was in the first week. She is in Aquaman too, and yet I
Yeah.
think that's like the first time after so many
Oh
times.
my God.
I'm pretty sure. Like, as I was because on a bit of time grudge, I was like, okay, when are we gonna start the movie? It's like there was no Nicole Kidman sitting in the theater
Really?
that time. It was like
Oh
the one
God.
time of the whole like 2 years or however long it's been. I think it's the only time she hasn't at an AMC theater. She didn't go on. It was for the Aquaman, which she's in.
That's funny.
We can't get rid of this lady. She's in all the
Oh my
movies she's not supposed to be in,
God.
and yet not the movie that she is in.
All right.
Anyway, so this is nicely shot. I'll admit, probably going to be a weird cat runner, which I don't know. I'm over cat runners, man. I'm just over it.
Yeah, oh God, I'm so glad you brought that up, Dragon, because the cat is the big thing
Because
in the
every time I
trailer.
see this trailer, it's like, hey, I'm down for everything else they're
It's
throwing
like,
at me.
hey
Like,
guys,
I'm
cute
looking like,
cat. Cute
why is
cat, am I
there
right? Cute
like
cat in perilous situation, am I right? Am I
like
right?
literally one of the main images, like the main poster, not the poster we have on here, oddly enough, but traditionally every other poster you will see for Argyle is of the cat in the backpack. It's like, why do we
Yep.
need to bring the cat and put the cat in the backpack? It's just a freaking cat, okay? It's like every cat lover, I swear to every cat lover is always like, hey, look at my cat. Look how playful I am. I have a cat. My life is fully obsessed with the cat and calling it cute, stupid names. It's like, oh my God, I'm so sick of cat people, really, man. It's
Oh
killing
my
me.
God.
God. Anyway, so no, it's just been an appealing trailer. Kind of stuck with me. The cat aside, I've been kind of eager to see it, and I was like, oh man, I would really like to see Argo. I was like, especially since it seems like it's going to go streaming, but it does not seem to be the case because it's an Apple TV movie. Every time I see those,
Well,
I'm
I
thinking,
would
okay,
not think it's going to streaming, considering that it's like, playing the trailers playing so many places.
well, I know that's what I'm just saying. Like initially, that's when I first saw the thing. It says like, "Hey, Apple TV." The same thing that Kills of the Flower Moon. Initially, I thought it might have been straight to streaming, but then no, they want the Oscar bidder, they want the blockbuster money. So there you go.
Uh-huh.
All right, there you go. So I'm looking forward to Argo.
All right. Next up, Dragon, I really don't have a lot of I don't even really have that much of a premise for this movie, but it's on my list specifically for the director and specifically because of the type of movie that it is. So number 7 is a little movie called Wolves. It stars two very obscure indie actors. I don't know if you've heard of them, George Clooney and Brad Pitt.
Never heard of
So,
them.
so
I think I've heard of Clooney's mom though. But go on.
God. Dragon, this in them, I believe they play company fixers, so basically like Mike the Cleaner type people
Yep.
who fix companies' messes.
Yeah, Mike was a
That's
fixer. That's
basically
accurate.
all I know about the premise. But the director, John Watts, baby.
Hey.
And you know how I feel about John Watts' other non-Spider-Man movie, and I'm very excited that he's getting a chance to do another non-franchise movie that just has some really good actors in it with a really cool premise. Yeah, I'm stoked on this one just because for a long time I have been wanting a good follow up to Cop Car, as far as like, you know, not a Spider-Man movie, not a franchise movie, just a good original idea. I think Cop Car was that, and I'm hoping that this is going to be a solid follow up to that. Seriously, you need to fucking watch Cop Car, Dragon. I keep telling you.
You know what you call a happy John Watts?
What?
Mary John Watts' son.
Oh my god! Wow. Christ. Okay. All right. Oh god. So yeah, like I said, I don't know a ton about the premise yet, but just just John Watts doing a non-franchise movie with Clooney and Pitt. Sign me up. All right. Next up for you, number 7.
If.
Okay, another one that could have been on my list. Dragon, ironically, you know what the funny thing about this movie is that this is the movie that feels like it should be directed by Sean Levy, right?
Yeah, it does, actually.
It feels like a Sean Levy movie, but it's a fucking John Krasinski movie, which, you know, obviously you have my attention with that. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, so it looks like John Krasinski attempting a family movie, and he's doing it with Ryan Reynolds. So look, name alone, I'm instantly sold on anything Ryan Reynolds does, pretty much. So I'm down. So there are probably going to be some parallels to Foster Home for Imaginary Friends. From what I can glean from the trailers, that we're finding imaginary friends like a new place, or like someone like a new kid, or like, you know, we're trying to reunite with the adults. Like we're trying to help out the imaginary friends. So probably going to be some parallels there. But aside from that, Krasinski, you know, he's tackling whimsy with presumably Ryan Reynolds there to you know, kind of like to essentially the ground and just kind of ground and balance it a little bit, you know.
Uh-huh.
Just think like to counterbalance it, you know, just the kind of like, okay, let's not get too whimsical here, imaginary friends. But again, if anyone's gonna deliver all this ridiculousness with a straight face, or at least with, you know, like kind of like the voice of the audience, it's gonna be Ryan Reynolds. I'll tell you one thing though, man. Looking at this trailer, it's gonna live or die by the John Krasinski voiced imaginary friend, like the main if. You know, like the big purple imaginary friend. So that the movie's gonna live or die by how that guy comes across, because he could be very annoying or not annoying.
Right. I kind of got that vibe, and you
Yeah.
don't really know which way they're going to lean.
And
Just
I'm not
based
sure
on
if that. I assume that's Krasinski doing the voice, but the voice
It
that
is.
he's doing is like an impression of Steve Carell, who is also in the movie. That's why I'm unsure.
Yeah. No, it is Krasinski.
Okay, good. So yeah. Anyway, I'm eager to see it, but I'm not expecting it to be as good as the other Ryan Reynolds live action, you know, films I've been enjoying lately, like Spirited and Free Guy. So I don't expect him to be like Spirited or Free Guy, but I think they'll at least.
It's better than Free Guy. I'm sorry.
Oh, he's got.
I'll give you Spirited. I like that one.
Oh, he's got. See, here's the thing. I want to just say Free Guy, but I can't just say Free Guy around here. I have to say Spirited, which I know we both like, and I know it's great. Okay, it's just like anyway.
I'm sorry, Dragon. I'm sorry.
That's ridiculous. You know, just never mind. Just move on. So fed up with this podcast. Let's just move on.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, Dragon. All right. Look, it's a new year. I will try to be less judgmental about Free Guy moving forward. And if
Sure.
it really upsets you that much, right?
Promises.
Okay, number 6 for me, we have Civil War. Yeah, obviously not Captain America Civil War. Do you know anything about Civil War, Dragon?
Well, he had the North and the South. They didn't really get along. No, what you got?
All right, so this is directed by Alex Garland, who has previously done Ex Machina, as well as Annihilation and Men. So this is his 4th film. The premise of this film is basically like it is just the near future, and the countries at war with each other. Dragon, now what current events possibly do you think could have inspired Alex Garland to write something like that? But anyways, the cast here is stacked. We have Kirsten Dunst, Kaylee Spaney, who was just in Priscilla in the lead role. And Dragon, I will say, a very intimidating looking Jesse Plemons. Like, probably hands down the most scary looking Jesse Plemons role since Breaking Bad. So I'm very much looking forward to this. The one thing I'm worried about is I'm worried that it's going to maybe lean on like disaster movie tropes of like, it basically looks like it's just following a family that's trying to get from point A to point B, which very much seems like it's like disaster movie, but with a more kind of like politically tinged narrative to it. But I mean, it is Alex Garland, and Alex Garland, like, you know, like I didn't really like Men all that much, but even that movie, very untraditional narrative. So it's like, I don't think this dude is just going to straight up write a disaster road movie. Like, there's got to be some twists here. So we'll see how it goes. I'm very much looking forward to it. Dragon, look up the trailer because if anything, just for the Plemons stuff, I think you will be intrigued by the Plemons performance in this trailer. All right. Little Blue says, if is Steve Carell's first voice role. Wait, but okay, hold on.
Well, I told you he's in the movie. I just don't know if it's. It looks like it's gonna be a
Yeah,
small
because I thought
role.
for sure that Krasinski was voicing the main character, so I guess he must be voicing another character, another if.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. But he's either Krasinski is just doing because again, he worked with him for many years. He might just be doing an impression of Steve Carell. But Carell is in that movie. But I don't. I'm just saying like when they do the gag where he says like the if like that sounds exactly like Steve Carell. But I don't know if that's the impression or the actual guy. Because that's the only line we really get from the guy.
Right.
So I don't know. There's a chance Krasinski's in live action in this film, and the voice is Carell. But and again, if you look at that list of names, Carell's pretty low. So I don't think that there's no way we're putting Carell that low.
I hear you.
He's got to be the main guy.
All right. Let's see. Dragon, it seems like the people in the comments are more on your side about Free Guy.
Yeah.
Teddy says Free Guy is fine. Tiki is just mean.
Yeah. Well,
Little
we're all
Blue says I
mean
thought
tonight.
Free Guy was really good.
Yeah.
Colby says Civil War is one of the few I'm somewhat looking forward to. Steve Carell is voicing.
So I'm not crazy. So that is Steve Carell
Okay,
as the
I could have
Purple
sworn that Krasinski was in that role. That's freaking weird.
That's what I'm saying. If that's Krasinski, he's doing an impression, but that's
Maybe,
got to be.
maybe Krasinski's just not in the movie. I mean, he was barely in A Quiet Place Part 2, so.
I'm not saying. I want to also be clear. Krasinski is actually really good at impressions. That's why I keep bringing that up. By the way,
right,
throwing it out there. Maybe Krasinski's doing an impression, like he can act. Like no, he can act clearly. But yeah.
All right. Well, he can do impressions, and then he can also play a role where he doesn't talk at all. He can do it all, Dragon.
And to be fair, for years he's proved he doesn't need the dialogue to convey stuff on The Office when he's doing all
that is true. That is true.
Essentially, we had the most dramatic version of that.
I wonder if that might have been a genesis for A Quiet Place, actually. Like, hey, John, you have a lot of, like, you do really good.
Yeah, hey, Krasinski, try doing, that's cute for TV. Try getting a whole movie out of that. Like, Emily, take notes.
Uh-huh. Okay, Little Blue apparently did a reaction to the If trailer, and he knows that's Steve.
I tell you that it's either intended to sound like Steve Carell or actually is Steve Carell, but Steve Carell's definitely in the talks for that purple fur ball.
All right, let's see, Dragon. Are we on? We're on my number 5, right?
Well, I didn't say my number 6.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead. You're number 6. My bad.
Yeah. Okay, Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire.
All right, To be fair, I have not seen Afterlife yet. I could watch Afterlife and be. I will make a point to see Afterlife before this movie comes out. If I like it enough, I will go see this movie. That's about the best I can give it.
Well, look, whether you like Afterlife or not, there's the thing. Afterlife has some really great elements to it, and I really like the third act. But whether or not you like Afterlife, you have issues with Afterlife. I mean, this movie, as presented here, like this is the type of Ghostbusters movie I think everyone was waiting for. Maybe a little bit more than Afterlife because we're back in New York.
Yeah,
we have a non-Gozer threat. It's kind of a mix of the old and the new Ghostbusters. I have no idea if the ghost is going to be any good or not because it looks like well, I don't know. The ghost could surprise you. It's just very different territory than we've ever done with the ghost before. At least in live action, we've only had 3 movies, so there's not a whole lot of ground to cover there. But it looks like it could, at worst, it could be a big CG ice monster ghost. That's the worst case. But then again, the ghost never truly had to be Yates until the third act, so who knows? They could kind of pump him up by then. Regardless, um, I'm getting stuff that I really was hoping to see, at least in the trailer. I'm getting stuff I was really hoping to see in the afterlife. Where, for example, we're putting Paul Rudd in the jumpsuit, man. We're making him
Uh-huh.
a Ghostbuster, which is something I really wanted to see, and we can vaguely circling around that first movie. But now we're actually going to do it. So already I'm hyped. I'm kind of getting the movie I really fully wanted. And basically, we're getting everything we kind of built up to in Afterlife, and we're just full on doing it. Also, Carrie Coon, she actually seemingly is going to get stuff to do in this movie. So that's good.
For sure, for sure.
I'll admit the change in director. I mean, it could be good, could be bad because it's Gil Keenan. Now, Gil Keenan, he directed Monster House. So that's a good omen. But still, it's not Jason. It's not the Reitman name is not on this one. It'll be the first time Ghostbusters don't have a Reitman on it. He did write it though, but I'm saying not in the director's chair. So that's I don't know. But then again, maybe some of the issues with Afterlife maybe stemmed from Jason Reitman. So I don't know. Could be good, could be bad. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's interesting, Dragon, because it's like with the Frozen Empire thing, like I think the idea of ice ghosts, like on surface level, for me is a little bit ridiculous and a little bit like, okay, what else is like what else are we doing here? Like it kind of seems like they're stretching the ghost thin. But I will say the trailer does look intriguing. Like the
Yeah.
creature designs are cool. Like you said, it definitely has like a kind of almost Lovecraftian quality to it with the that big money shot at the end of the trailer.
Yeah.
The New York setting certainly looks a little bit more appealing to me than Afterlife, which was basically trying to be like like small town vibes, which I might like, but it just doesn't feel that
Look,
much like.
there's some charm to small town, but by the same token, the Ghostbusters they belong in New York.
Right, right. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, as you know, Dragon, even the original Ghostbusters, just I like it, but it's certainly not one of my favorite
I
movies of
keep
all
no one
time.
no one says it has to be your favorite movie. I don't know if
Well, I'm
you
just saying everyone holds it. It's one of those movies where it's like by the time I got around to seeing it, the hype had already killed it for me a little bit.
all right.
All right. Little Blue says Frozen Empire is such a good, interesting title for this new Ghostbusters film. Not to mention Slimer will be back in Frozen Empire. It's
Yeah.
about time.
Oh yeah.
Okay, next up, number 5 for me is Mickey 17. Dragon, it's Bong Joon-ho,
Mm-hmm.
it's Robert Pattinson,
Mm.
it's Tony Collette.
Yeah.
I do I need to say any more? Stephen Young, Mark Ruffalo. Yeah,
Well,
this
you're
is a
listing
stacked
names.
cast
Yeah.
with Bong Joon-ho. I mean, it's like I feel like we can pretty much move on. But seriously, the premise, no one really knows much about the premise, so I'm just going to read the Wikipedia premise. An adaptation of the science fiction novel that follows the story of Mickey 17, an expendable who is a disposable employee on a human expedition sent to colonize an ice world. After one iteration dies, a new body is regenerated with most of his memories intact. So it sounds like Robert Pattinson is basically playing kind of like a Blade Runner type of character here, like a replicant type of character. Yeah, like I said, I not much is known about the premise, but goddamn, it's a stacked cast. Pattinson, Bong Joon-ho, his first movie since Parasite, which is big. I don't know. I think like I will say the premise isn't exactly something that's making me like jump up and down. Like it sounds a little bit odd. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Bong Joon-ho, Robert Pattinson. Kind of repeating myself at this point. It is a bad title, though. I will say it is a bad title. It is a bad title. I do not like the title. Colby says I hadn't read all that about Mickey 17. I just saw the title, instantly shot to my number 2 most anticipated. I think I know what your number 1 is, Colby, and it's probably mine too. All right. Little Blue says, speaking of Mickey, are we not going to say anything about the upcoming Mickey Mouse horror movie? Have you heard about this, Dragon?
Well, I heard that Steamboat Willie went into public domain.
Yeah, so
So,
there's already a Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey style Mickey Mouse horror movie in
what's that?
development.
What's
Yep.
everyone's problem? Why we gotta make everyone like a horror icon now?
I don't know. I think people are making way too big of a deal out of the Steamboat
I get
Willie
it. People
thing.
want to stick it to Disney, but I mean, come on.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Teddy says Mickey 17 better be good because 1 through 16 really weren't good. Yeah, like I say, it's not a good title. I will fully admit it is not a great title. If it was the title of the book, they should have changed the title. I'm sorry, it's not a catchy title at all. But again, Robert Pattinson, Bong Joon-ho, Tony Collette.
All right, enough with the names.
All right,
Enough
moving
with
on.
the
Moving on.
names.
You're number 5.
Wait, is he gonna be like the 17th Mickey? Is that what?
That's what I'm assuming. Yes.
Okay. Anyway, so number 5 for me, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Okay, so yeah, like I said, I am looking forward to this, but without Matt Reeves and Andy Serkis, it's a little bit harder to get stoked about it. But I'm still, the last trilogy was one of the best trilogies of the 2010s, so we'll see how it goes. Go ahead.
So I guess building off of that, it's a solid trilogy already. What we had with the Planet of the Apes, with like the recent Planet of the Apes films. There's room to explore, at the end. There's always room to explore because we know the fascinating thing with Planet of the Apes is that we know very famously in the tomes of cinematic history, we know the gist of the Planet of the Apes. There's a lot of fun there. At the very least, we know the iconic, film of Planet of the Apes. So everything else has been kind of like an interesting exercise. And again, I guess a comparison that's apt for us, it's kind of like, we're doing the prequel Better Call Saul kind of effect on it. Like we know where it goes, or Bates Motel to a degree. We know where it ends up. Well, we're kind of like going back, and we've been kind of like putting the pieces together as to what interesting things, looking at the way we make movies now, could we kind of add to the mythos and getting to a similar place. And we told Caesar's story, and there's still like room to get us to that Statue of Liberty on the beach. Um, So it could be an interesting link up there as far as to the original story. For all we know, the only hesitation I have is, as Tiki said, the lack of Matt Reeves and Andy Serkis is taking two arrows out of the quiver on this one. It's look, best case scenario, this goes over really well. Might be, for all we know, it's because, again, I'm just saying, because it's stored in history that Planet of the Apes films can be really good and can be really respected in the industry. It could be like, if not like an awards contender, it can be like, can be looked at really, really with great reverence and go over really well. Could lead to a really excellent trilogy. Again, that'd be unprecedented. Like if we already have a solid trilogy, and we kind of go beyond that to
That would be unprecedented if like 6 movies in a row were just bangers.
That's what I'm saying. That's kind of the dream, though. If you had they have a solid start, and then it progressively got better and better, and then we can have 3 movies that again bring it to the iconic, the Statue of Liberty on the beach. That's essentially what we're building to. In best case scenario, like we're close. This is the closest we're gonna get to old Hollywood that we have, at least this year, with like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is like it's a, to me. I know a lot of people are gonna say Dune and stuff, but for me, like Planet of the Apes could be, that it feels like an action. Like quote Tiki here, it feels like a movie.
It's a movie.
No, but seriously though, it
That
feels
is
like
from What the Flick. People take plagiarism on YouTube very seriously nowadays, so I'm just going to quote that for what. Yeah, I picked up on it, but I originally heard it from the What the Flick review of Steve Jobs. Ironically enough,
But you see what I mean, though. It's like King of Planet. It feels like something that could be like cinematic in a year of which, admittedly, like 6 out of my 10 films here are franchises or sequels, and this is including that, I know, but it does feel like there's something kind of special. Like of all the franchises in Hollywood, I don't know, like Planet of the Apes was kind of a game changer for its day, and it feels like something that could be like a franchise, but also respected as just kind of like a film. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
Teddy
get,
asked who the new director is. It looked like he already looked it up, but it's Wes Ball. And Dragon, he directed the Maze Runner movies, which
yeah.
I will admit I have not seen, but my impression of the Maze Runner as a franchise has always been like lesser Hunger Games. So I
I
don't
do
know.
wonder if this goes well. I mean, like if they're gonna go the full remake on like a third film. Like, do we get to that point where we do kind of like the Bates Motel season 6, where it's like we're gonna do
Right,
our
right,
version of
right.
it for the last film, and that's kind of us like closing the loop on it. That'd be a real classy way to go. And then if it goes, then had assuming everything goes, I'm already looking at like the third film in this imaginary trilogy module, this imaginary sequel trilogy. You could you could then do, okay, then we're gonna do the other sequels to Planet of the Apes, but pushing forward beyond that. So we have like, like we're doing the full Star Wars here. We have the, the trio of trilogies,
Uh-huh.
technically four.
Oh God. I think there were originally what like 4 or 5 Planet of the Apes movies, so it wasn't technically a trilogy at first.
No, fair enough.
Oh, Teddy, you thought Blade Runner and Maze Runner? Oh man. Oh God, could you imagine if Denis Villeneuve were doing a Planet of the Apes movie? Oh God, that would be fucking heaven, dude. That would be an upgrade from Matt Reeves. With all due respect to Matt Reeves, I love
Oh
Matt
come on, you're
Reeves.
out of here. Come on, really?
Yeah, I think so. I think
I
so.
don't agree with that at all. Those I don't like what Villeneuve did with
Villeneuve's just not your taste,
I
Dragon.
know he's not my taste. Still, just
All right. Anyways, number 4. Okay, this is a very obvious pick for me. It's the last franchise movie of the bunch. Pearl was my number 1 movie of 2022, if you remember, Dragon. And this is the sequel to not Pearl, but X, which X came out first. Then we got the prequel Pearl, and now we're getting the sequel. And this is very much going to be Mia Goth, who is playing the role of Maxine. And Dragon, in the first X movie, Mia Goth played dual roles. So she basically played like the slasher movie, quote unquote, final girl, if you will, in Maxine. And then she played the old woman version of Pearl as well, like through thick makeup. And then obviously in Pearl, she just plays the younger version of Pearl. So this is going to be post Pearl, post the farm, and it's going to be Maxine's attempt to break into the seedy world of 90s VHS pornography. Um, what I'm really excited about with this one is that it's gonna have a lot of shades to Pearl as far as the kind of like the dream of stardom, if you will, but obviously in a much more kind of like dingy sort of environment. So yeah, Ty West really made a name for himself last year with X and Pearl coming out the same year. Just like instant franchise. And I am very much hoping that he's going to stick the plane to landing on this one. And also, before this comes out, I'm going to need to check out some of his other movies because he seems to be a very unique voice in the horror industry that is just now getting noticed. Yeah, Teddy says the X franchise is one of the better modern horror franchises. Indeed, I really liked X, but then obviously Pearl, I freaking loved. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't think this is going to top Pearl, but I do think it has a good shot at topping X at the very least. We'll see how it goes. Okay, Little Blue says, I feel like that was a record for X and Pearl coming out at the same year. Yeah, Little Blue, it really is. It was pretty unprecedented for sure. Okay, let's see. Number 4 for you, Dragon.
Joker, filet a dukes. Butchering
By the
it.
time this comes out, we're gonna have to know how to pronounce it.
We'll
Dragon.
know how to
I'm with
pronounce
you.
it
It's
then.
hard. It's
I
hard.
don't know. Yeah, I looked into
I feel like
pronunciation.
the entire film YouTube community as a whole is gonna struggle with this
I think
title
it's
here.
Okay, I think it's actually like filet a do.
uh, and this is yet another one on your list that I am looking forward to. I am curious about. Just I didn't love the original Joker movie. I certainly liked it. I just didn't love it. So we'll see how it goes.
So, I mean, here's the thing. This intrigues me because, on its face, I don't need this movie at all. I don't need this movie because I still I've but in the past I've attested the Joker movie that Todd Phillips did should have been a one off. That's where the film really gets its power from. It should have been a one off. Should not have gotten a sequel or any talks of a sequel. But I think Hollywood got success, and Hollywood kind of got to him on that one. But here's the thing. I was impressed with what Todd Phillips did, only because like Todd Phillips has never really made a movie like Joker, and the fact that I was really impressed by how he like visualized it and kind of made it look. Because I mean, the cinematography in that movie is really nice, and Joaquin Phoenix, he did great in the role. I mean, it's a pretty it's pretty straightforward what they're doing there. I don't know, I really enjoyed the Joker film. So a part of me, doing an introduction to Harley Quinn could be interesting, since it was a plot point in that original Joker movie that there was somewhat of like a failed love story with Arthur Fleck in the first film, and he is in Arkham and he is killing doctors, so there is an in for like, well, he's gonna need a new doctor, and I don't know, there might be a love connection to be made there, a twisted love connection, the Joker like inspiring people as he definitely did by the end of that first film. So there's an in for, and I mean, even just looking at it just really, artistically, looking at the poster and everything, the Joker was a very much, he was he danced very famously in that film a few times, and there's just kind of like a song and dance man quality to him, and because of, well, more dance man, just in terms of like, like a lot of it was improvised on the set, it just kind of felt right for the characters. Looking at it in that kind of artsy fartsy context, you might call it. I don't know. It seems like you kind of need two to tango, so to speak, with this. I think there's something, maybe there's something there. DC needs a win right now. Okay, Joker is outside the old guard and it's outside the new guard, so there's just kind of like there's a nice little niche there for him to succeed. I'm rooting for it. Again, I'm not really. I don't think I'm going to be heartbroken if it doesn't do well. But by the same token, though, I mean, I see potential, and even though I really logically I shouldn't see, I should say no, it's a terrible idea. No, we should shut it down. But I can't help myself. It's like I want to see where it goes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm definitely the Harley Quinn factor, I think, is the one thing that definitely draws me in.
Yeah.
Okay, Little Blue says this is Joaquin Phoenix's first ever sequel, which is actually, that's both kind of surprising and not really that surprising considering how careful that dude is at picking roles.
Yeah.
Is he going to be does anyone know if he's going to be in Gladiator 2? I honestly don't even know if his character survived the original Gladiator because I have not seen the original Gladiator. That's
It's gonna be
that's my big revelation of the evening. I have not seen the original Gladiator.
Well, no, Little Blue's making a big deal about it. Napoleon 2 is going to happen like 2 years from now.
Oh God! Oh my God! You're gonna give Colby a heart attack, Dragon.
What, you didn't hear?
Oh God! All right, I would be down for a Napoleon prequel. That's just the French Revolution, though.
God.
All
Yeah,
right,
there. That's what I thought. Little Blue just answered your question.
he died. Yeah, that's what I kind of figured that. All right. Okay, let's see. So I love this dichotomy here in the comments, guys. Keeper Colby, I'm a card carrying Joker hater. Go Kiosk. Joker is one of my top 10 superhero films, so I'm hyped for the sequel. Honestly, I'm kind of right in the middle. I'm right in the middle. I am like drawing that line. Like I honestly see both sides of the argument. Joker has always been one of those movies where like I certainly don't love it. Like, and also Dragon, I don't know, did you ever see that viral video of the guy that was like throwing a fucking bitch fit over Parasite beating Joker for Best Picture?
No.
Oh man.
Oh, Tiki!
What?
Comment! Put it on the screen now! Not that one! The other one!
Oh. Wait. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
look!
Josh? Is that you, Josh?
I think so. It's
Oh
our,
my
it's our
God,
pal,
Josh!
Thomas from
We've
Just
been
Giggling.
worried about you, bro.
Yes, we're trying to beat you for like ever. So Joker and Harley Quinn back on the big screen 2024. A good year to bring back another Joker and Harley from Joker and Harley Quinn versus the real world. Happy New Year, guys. Happy New Year, right back
Yeah,
at
man.
you. Welcome to the new
Nice,
year.
nice to see you pop up, bro. We've
Please come
definitely
back, Josh. We all miss you. Everyone misses you. The Just Giglet Discord still misses you. It's kind of a tumbleweed factor now, but they miss you.
It's literally just you advertising.
Everyone is dying for you to come back. Please don't go into obscurity like other Joker fan series makers that we know
Oh
of.
my god.
Please don't do that. Come back.
All right, all right. But yes, great to see that name pop up in the chat for sure.
Anyway, so it says that Teddy said I'm in the middle with you, Tiki. So there he is. I didn't want to shove him to the side, but I kind of had to in the moment.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
It was an
Understandable.
emergency.
All right. Colby says Code Geass and I seem to be on the opposite side of every battle in these comments. Well, Colby, you very much have my taste in movies, and Code Geass, I think, very much has Dragon's taste in movies. I think that's kind of where it comes down to. But Dragon, honestly, I think that's why you and I work so well together, is that kind of like opposing viewpoint. Okay, Teddy says, like I said, I thought Joker was fine, but the whole Lady Gaga musical angle they're taking is so weird that I can't help to be like, you know what? Fine. I'll see what you have up your sleeves.
Yeah.
Also, with the musical angle, I will say one of the big things that people have against this movie is like, oh, well, we all saw the last time that Todd Phillips did a sequel, The Hangover 2. Ew. And I'm like, yeah, but the big problem with The Hangover 2 was that it was literally just like a repeat of the first movie, which is like, that is like objectively impossible to do when you're like literally changing genres. So, you know.
Because I had like a picture in my mind, like I was thinking, okay, never in a million years do we need like a Joker sequel. The only Joker sequel I thought was like, what if you did kind of like the Jokers from Batman Beyond to an extent, where the Bruce Wayne grows up to be a Batman, but his mission is looking for like the original Joker, but he's basically inspired all these other imitators that's his journey to find him in a Joker sequel, which again highly unlikely as it would seem. But Todd Phillips has a plan. We're gonna see how that goes.
All right. Okay. Number 3 for me is going to be A Quiet Place. Day 1. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked on this movie. Unlike most of my picks, I'm stoked on this movie just based on the premise. Because holy shit, that opening sequence of A Quiet Place Part 2, Dragon's still, for my money, one of the best moments of cinema that we've had in the 2020s so far. I mean, it fucking knocked me on my feet, man. I still think about it. Like, I still think about it a lot. Obviously, this one not being directed by Krasinski, but it does have a very interesting director, though, Dragon, and a director that I do think fits the style and the mood of A Quiet Place quite well. It's the director of Pig with Nicolas Cage. Did you ever get around to seeing Pig?
I'm trying to remember. Wait, is that the one where Nick? Okay, is Pig the one where Nick Cage? No, I'm sorry, it's a different one. No, I have not seen Pig. No.
Oh, you need to see Pig. Anyways, also very excited about the cast here. We got Lupita Nyong'o. We got Alex Wolff from Hereditary. We've got Jamon Hansu actually reprising his role as the man on the island from A Quiet Place Part 2. Or wait, is that... It seems like the island is going to be involved, and the island is from A Quiet Place Part 2. So I'm not sure. Yeah, he is reprising his role. Okay, good. It's been a minute since I've seen A Quiet Place Part 2.
Jamon Hansu?
So God. So yeah, those 3 names alone, very excited, and just like I said, the first scene of A Quiet Place Part 2, which was very much just like the day one, it was kind of like the ground zero for everything. Man, it had me so intrigued, and so what I'm excited about with this movie is I'm excited about like it is a big change to the Quiet Place formula, specifically because it's literally day one. Like the rules have not been established yet. Like we don't know about the quiet thing yet. So that's what I'm really excited for, Dragons. I'm excited for like kind of like the slow piecing together of the rules of this universe. And yeah, like I said, if it's not Krasinski, I honestly think the director pick, unlike something like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, is about as perfect as we can get. I think it's I think stylistically it's going to be a pretty seamless transition. So yeah, very very hyped for A Quiet Place Day One. I would say the last three movies. I mean, Vaccine I'm hyped about too, but Vaccine we kind of like already sort of know what we're getting into with Vaccine. This a little less so, just because another person is taking over the reins as director. So, yeah, very excited for it. Right. Sorry. Your number 3, Dragon?
Red One.
Red One. I actually don't know what this is.
Yeah, this is the Christmas movie, Tiki.
Oh, you've told me about this. Okay.
Yeah, so this is a Christmas movie I was looking so forward to seeing in 2023 because it was announced for 2023 initially. But again, it got bumped because of presumably because of the writer's strike. Got bumped because but everything between like probably not being able to advertise it or because it sounded like they finished filming. It was like in a post production sort of thing. I don't know if it was either solidarity, basically Amazon having like damage control. Like, well, we have this film in the can, but we can't put it out. Plus, we have the Eddie Murphy movies. Let's not overcrowd it. Let's just space it. Let's just bump it the next year. So, this is a movie with J.K. Simmons playing Santa Claus, and you can kind of see in the image there. See, I went with this is the first reveal of what he looks like in the suit. So, looks pretty good.
For sure.
J.K. Simmons is Santa Claus. It's basically him.
I love that Santa Claus is bald, but it's like, it's not something you would guess, but it's like he's always wearing the hat. So technically you don't know,
I mean, rarely do we have a Santa. I'm not saying it's impossible. Rarely do we have a Santa Claus with
Well, I'm just saying because he wears. I'm not saying it's not like a common thing. I'm just saying because he's always wearing the hat, you never really think about it.
Fair point. So that's the thing. So this has J.K. Simmons, it has Chris Evans, and it has The Rock in it. And that's the thing, Tiki, I know nothing about this movie. No one really does. All we know is those three people are in that
This
movie.
is basically your Mickey 17.
Yes, absolutely. I'm in it. I'm in it because Simmons has played in the past. Has played a wonderful Santa Claus in Klaus. Okay, we love J.K. Simmons. That guy's never going to not deliver. You have Evans and you have The Rock, and it's a very interesting combination. I'm kind of there on principle. I'm down for like a really inventive Christmas movie. Like in the past we've gotten some great gems like like Christmas Chronicles, for example. We had that. We had Klaus. We had we had the night the night before Christmas.
Yes, our personal favorite.
Yes, Billy. All those are Netflix movies, but you see my point. Now this is not going to be on Netflix, but still, I mean, there's kind of some fun there to be going to it completely blind. Just the fact that a lot of it too. The reason why it's so high is that there's a lot of hype for me because because of want because like this one was denied to me like for so long. It's like, oh man, I really wanted to see this movie, and I kept checking. I wonder when it's coming out, or every time I kept checking as it got closer and closer in November. Bubkiss, nothing, nada, and my hope is that it's going to be a very pleasant surprise.
Yeah, for sure. I hear you.
Oh,
all
we
right.
have some Christmassy comments.
Yeah. Little Blue says J.K. Simmons is Santa Claus. How awesome is that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Pretty awesome. We had Ebenezer Scrooge, who was bald. Patrick Stewart, so there's no problem with the Santa Claus being bald. Like I said, I'm not saying that Santa's not usually bald. I'm just saying you don't usually see the bald head because of the hat. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
J.K. Simmons is so distinctly bald that it makes sense.
You know what they got to do? They got to do a Christmas Carol with Larry David playing
Oh
Scrooge.
My God, dude!
That'd be wonderful.
That would be amazing.
You'd have a Scrooge with some bite, which we kind of got in Spirited, but still, you'd have like Larry David just kind of like picking apart the ghost's arguments.
Oh, seriously, Patrick Page's Scrooge was like the best fucking part of
was Marley.
Marley, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah, he was great as Marley, though. Yeah,
that was the best part of Spirited, man.
Yeah, he was pretty cool. That was my first introduction to Patrick Page, and he was pretty good.
All right, Will Ferrell was Scrooge. Spoiler alert!
Yeah,
I literally just remembered that. That was like the big twist. All right. Anyways,
Yep. Also, I don't know if Josh Boy's still around here, but one of the, as Little Blue says, we're also going to have Chris Evans, who's Captain America, and Kieran Shipka, Sabrina Teenage Witch from like the weird, well, the essentially the gritty
okay.
remake of the Sabrina Teenage Witch. Is going to be in Red One. So Kieran Shipka, also from Mad Men, she was my casting choice to play Katie Mary Garland
Oh yeah, I remember that.
in
Yeah.
the JJ biopic. So yeah,
Eddie Murphy is a ghost of Christmas past. I could see that. I could see that.
that'd be fun.
All right. Number two, penultimate. My number two, Dragon. This movie has been in development for so long, and I'm just really excited to finally see it. I'm not even really that big of a fan of the actual musical it's based on, but it is a seminal touchstone. Wicked. Dragon, just hands down, without Wicked, we do not get Frozen. Like, just there is a very, very easy, like, one for one parallel there. Like, Wicked very much was the original Frozen. And I am pretty stoked for this movie, I will say. It's directed by John M. Chu, who did a really good job with In the Heights. I disagreed with some of the story stuff he did with In the Heights. There were just In the Heights, the movie was kind of for me like a little bit of like story adaptation wise, it was kind of like a little bit of a death by a thousand cuts. Whereas like a lot of like little nitpicky things kind of adding up for me. And by the end, I was like, John, you're killing me, buddy. But the one thing about the In the Heights movie that I really love is the visual quality to it. Like In the Heights is one of the few adaptations where they really take advantage of the fact that it is not a stage play, it is a movie. And I have no doubt that he's going to be able to take that visual flourish and just elevate it with Wicked. So, casting wise, it's one of the things that where like Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, like I'm not exactly a fan of either of them, but I will say that it is very encouraging that like the two of them are like Ariana Grande is obviously like a big pop icon. Cynthia Erivo, one of the most well-respected performers currently on Broadway. So they're casting talent, Dragon, and that's really what matters in roles like this. Goldblum is going to be playing the wonderful Wizard of Oz, which I'm excited about, along with Michelle Yao in a supporting role, which I'm also excited about. The rest of the cast just kind of seems to be made up of kind of Broadway regulars, which is good. That's what I like to see in a Broadway adaptation is lots of Broadway people. Interestingly, Dragon, this is a part one of two. But I will say, if you're familiar with the Broadway show, which I know you're not, but if you are familiar with the Broadway show, you know that Acts 1 and Act 2 are two very distinctive things. Like, essentially, Dragon, to break it down, Act 1 is essentially like Wicked meets Harry Potter, right? It's like, I'm sorry, Wizard of Oz and Harry Potter. It's like, it's very much focused on Glinda and the Wicked Witch of the West's school days, getting to know each other, going from like frenemies to actual good friends, and then seeing the falling out of their friendship. And then Act 2 is essentially like the Wizard of Oz from the Wicked Witch of the West perspective. So it's kind of doing that Bates Motel season 6 thing. So I think both of those, like, it's interesting because I feel like Act 2 has more interesting story beats, but Act 1 absolutely has the better songs. I think the songs in Act 2 are a little bit on the weaker side, so I'm curious to see how they're going to remedy that. Like Act 1 literally ends with like Let It Go 1.0, Dragon. It literally, like, Defying Gravity is one of the great I Want songs in all of Broadway. So we'll see how it goes. But I am very excited about it. It's one of those things that's been in development hell forever. I can't wait to see a trailer. Colby, like I said, I agree that I would be more hyped about it if it wasn't part one. But I will say that with the part two tying so heavily into the Wizard of Oz story, I do think that there's room to flesh out the part two. The soundtrack is not going to be as good in part two. It's just not going to be. But I do think they have potential to do some interesting stuff with the character work and the story in part two. So we'll see how it goes. Any interest in this at all, Dragon? I know you're not a Broadway guy.
I mean, I don't know. The original. I've heard everything I've heard about Wicked does sound interesting to me, and I got to admit, I mean, I think I would definitely stream Wicked because I mean the story does sound really good. I just never have found the time to really get into it. And I'm not really a musical guy, but you know,
It's not a soundtrack like Hamilton where you can just listen to and get the story. There's a lot of gaps. So
I don't know. That's the thing. So I mean, I'm somewhat interested. I don't think I'm going to see it in theaters, but I give it a watch.
all right, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, you're number two, Dragon.
All right, well, first we have some comments.
Okay, let's see. Little Blue says, Dragon, what did you say about Kieran and Shipka?
Yeah, I said so. Kieran Shipka, who's of course from Spring Teenage Witch and Mad Men. We did a bio. We pitched a biopic for Just Giggle It for Joshua Thomas and company from Just Giggle It, and we cast a bunch of actors, like fan cast a bunch of actors, and we pitched what the biopic with that very niche topic would be. And Kieran Shipka played Katie Mary Garland, one of the actors from Just Giggle, one of the performers from Just Giggle It. So she was my casting choice for her. So yeah, okay. Let's see. Anyway, okay. So my number two, appropriately, I kind of lucked into this number wise. I mean, there's all my top three all have numbers in them. Number two is Inside Out 2.
Yeah, this one I am both stoked for and terrified for at the same time.
Yeah,
If this is bad, it's gonna be such a fucking bummer, Dragon.
Like any expecting parent, my friend. That's what we're doing right now. It's like, oh god. This could be a joyous affair or it can be anxiety. We don't know. Yeah, so here's the thing. So Inside Out is kind of a Pixar property that does have an opening for a sequel. We even talked about that. It was like, Inside you could revisit in any number of ways. Admittedly, I didn't really see it coming that we would just do Riley. We keep tracking with Riley versus like.
I mean, the big thing that worries me about this premise is that it essentially feels like they're just doing Turning Red again.
Yeah, but
that's what really worries me.
At the very least, I think it would probably be more well received than Turning Red.
Mm.
I don't know. I hear that. I really like the director we have on. Kelsey Mann is he's a story man. He directed the Party Central short. He directed episodes of Megas XLR. So Kelsey Mann has my respect. I'm interested in seeing I forget if he did the short. If he did the Riley's First Date short or not. I'm blanking on that. But this guy's Kelsey Mann's good. So I think there's possibilities with revisiting Inside Out. We have some, there's going to be gags with, an underpinning of heart there for sure, which is kind of what the hallmark of Inside Out was. Frankly, Pixar needs a win, and this is the tipping point for them, okay? Because they need, a success or failure might have a ripple effect. Because right now there's all this talk about Disney, like they want to do sequels, they don't want to do sequels, going back and forth. It's like we have Inside Out 2, we have Toy Story 5, we have Frozen 3 and 4 planned out, across the board. I know I'm breaching a little bit. I'm saying company wide.
There's a Frozen fucking 4 in the works, Dragon. I fucking hate that so much.
So the fact of the matter is, I mean, success or failure wise, I don't know what the effect's going to be. Frankly, I don't see it failing. At the very least, I see it being watchable. I see it being what we enjoyed about the first movie, but we'll have something really to say about it. I do question the intent behind the movie, because right now we're in this weird gray area with Pixar where there was a lot of hey, you have to serve the greater good of the company here, and how much of that is hey.
You hear that they're re-releasing the movies that weren't in theaters theatrically?
I did hear that. Yes,
I am excited about that. to that if I can.
Like that's a good idea, honestly.
Uh-huh.
That's like you give him a fair shot. Plus, I mean, it'll help recoup the money that was lost on him, I guess. But it's just the not there was like a lot of money lost on, at least on like of all the movies that are being released, being re-released. Anyway, it just feels like the worst case, it's still going to be. I predict it being what we liked about the first movie. I just don't know if it's going to be something they really have to say about it that we didn't already kind of circle in turning red, but again we'll kind of say in the funny way that we like Inside Out to do, with like we're recontextualizing emotions, like how a girl is like kind of growing up through like the voices inside her head. I don't know how deep they're going to dig on things. We're going to introduce new emotions. Could be fun, but also was a concern they had on the first movie, which is why they limited the emotions, and we're adding new ones. And I don't know. I think it's a bit of a gamble, but especially since Inside Out was like a booming success for him a couple of years back. I'm just hoping this movie's been made for the right reasons. Because if it wasn't, it's like, hey, we're just doing sequels to what's left, and you know, it's not a reason
Yeah.
to make a movie. And Pixar from the beginning, they said they weren't going to make sequels without a story to tell. If this is just like them being prodded with a stick by Disney, like, hey, do movies, make more, make sequel. That's going to be a bad. That's the end time, Steve. If that's just what their status quo is, like they don't have good reasons or a good story behind these movies, then Pixar's violated one of the credos of the house.
I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So comments. Teddy says Robin from Stranger Things is in it. Yeah, she plays Anxiety, which I actually just had to look up right now. But that is actually pretty exciting. I will say that is very solid casting.
Yeah.
I loved her in Asteroid City. She's one of my favorite. She didn't have a very big role in Asteroid City, but I loved everything she did in Asteroid City. All right. Teddy also says, hopefully it has a reference to 9/11 so Mr. Enter can rest. Dragon, did you hear about this Mr. Enter
What?
9/11 thing?
What 9/11? What's he talking about?
Oh boy, he doesn't know, folks. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. All right, all right. I'm gonna. Do you know who Mr. Enter is,
Yeah,
right?
I remember you. I remember you don't care for Mr. Enter.
No. Don't put words in my mouth.
I remember what you said
I
about Mr.
respect
Enter.
him. I honestly think this incident was kind of like a big like low of lows for him that he has thankfully kind of gotten like learned from and
Mr.
actually.
Enter gets a little ranty, kids.
Okay, well, it doesn't get much more ranty than ranting about the fact that Turning Red takes place in the early 2000s and the fact that the characters don't talk about 9/11 is like something that pulls him out of the movie.
Well, I mean, they're also in Canada.
Yeah, they're also like 12-year-old girls who have no like I don't know about you, 11 wasn't exactly like a big like topic of daily conversation.
Yeah, it's just like a moment where you have like you and your 12-year-old friends going 12 to 13-year-old friends, I guess, depending on that movie, just like going around saying like, "Hey man, 3,000 lives, it's pretty heavy, right?"
Like that's actually what he wanted exactly.
Just like, I mean, I'm in a cardboard panda suit, man. Like, what are we doing? Like people, they're still cleaning up over there, man. This is it's a whole thing. We gonna
But
build a
yeah,
new,
like I
we gonna
said, I
build a
do
freedom
think that was
tower.
like probably like a big low of because Dragon it was a meme for a long time. It was a huge meme. They hit the fucking Pentagon.
God,
Okay, so I'm sorry, Dragon. Anything else to say about Inside Out 2?
how does he know what month it even takes place in?
That's a fair point.
Could be spring.
It's a very fair point.
Anyway,
Right.
all right, moving on.
Okay, number one. I feel like both of our number ones were probably pretty obvious to the other person.
Mm-hmm.
My number one is going to be no surprise to anyone. It is the Robert Eggers adaptation of Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
Yeah, I'm stoked. Honestly, Dragon, this is probably like my most anticipated movie that has come out of the 2020s so far. Out of all the years of the 2020s, like I am riding high on this thing. I mean, the fact that we got like Defoe in it, we've got Nicholas Holt in the title role, which I think is
Yeah.
going to do a lean at. I think he's going to fucking kill that role. I'm really excited about it. And it's I don't know, man. There's just so many things going for it. The fact that it's got a Christmas Day release, just for some reason, that just fills me with confidence, Dragon. It really fills me with confidence. The fact that the studio was willing to lock this into Christmas Day, like over a year before that release date. Like, I don't know, man. I think that the studio knows they have something special on their hands with this thing. I hope they do at least. Now, granted, Robert Eggers has never really been the most like profitable filmmaker, so it's kind of one of those things where the studio is probably not releasing it on Christmas Day because it's going to be like a big Christmas blockbuster, but it's for the cloud of it all. Because I mean, this is just like it is a very, very big movie for just the community, because I feel like The Lighthouse was such a success. I didn't like The Norseman as much. I liked it. It's just The Norseman isn't really my type of movie. Like I think The Green Knight stuck out to me more than the Norseman did, as far as like that type of like that time period goes. But yeah, this is him returning to horror, obviously, and I am just pretty stoked. I was hoping that it was going to come out this year or 2023, and it didn't. But yeah, again, with the release date already locked in as Christmas Day, pretty stoked. Pretty stoked. Colby says, "Hell yeah, love me some Eggman," which is his nickname for Robert Eggers.
I like that. That's nice.
Penny says, "I'm with you, Tiki." Colby says, "Going into this ready to just immediately make it the best." I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. I'm not that far with it. But yeah, if this was my number one of the year, I wouldn't really be surprised.
Fun fact: Ralph Eggleston, his nickname was the Eggman in Toy Story.
Really, that's funny.
Yeah, remember, like the moving van's called Eggman Movers.
Uh-huh.
That's a nod to him.
Defoe just recently got his Walk of Fame star.
Hey,
nice. Well deserved.
Yeah,
well deserved.
good on him.
All right, Super Billy says toss up between Doom Part 2 and Edgar's Nosferatu remake for my most anticipated of 2024. Yeah, Dune Part 2 was my number 9. Nosferatu is my number 1. All right, Little Blue says Defoe was in Shadow of the Vampire. He stated a while back that his experience doing Nosferatu was different when he did Shadow than from when he did Shadow of the Vampire. I imagine so. Robert Eggers is like a very particular director, for one thing. I mean, very like the thing with Eggers that I'm really excited about that he just gets so right is above any other director, he's just like obsessed with period accuracy. And to see that applied to Nosferatu is going to be really exciting. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to even see a trailer for it to see the makeup job. All right, Dragon. I'm sure everyone is on their edge of their seats, Dragon. I'm sure they can't guess at all what your number one is.
Hey, grab your faint couches, kids.
You're
gonna need them.
Surprising is when you reveal to me what the animation studios are in Batman Beyond episodes.
I know it's going to be a shock. I know those of you with weak constitutions will want to leave the podcast, but I implore you to stay with us just a few moments longer. My number one is Deadpool 3.
Gasp.
Yeah. So I mean, look, come on, we're making this list. This is why I hate. That's why I hate doing these lists, because mine are always so telegraphed. Everyone's gonna know what my number one is.
Well, to be fair, I feel like mine. If you know my film taste, Dragon, I feel like mine is pretty telegraphed too. Like I'm sure Colby saw it coming from a mile away.
Yeah. So I, without hesitation, this is the most anticipated film for me. Marvel has gone to great lengths to make sure that it's like, okay, folks, we want Deadpool 3 to be the main focus of 2024, and I don't blame them. I ain't complaining.
Very smartly so.
So, yeah, I mean, obviously the Deadpool movies mean a great deal to me. So I'm just happy to have get give Deadpool a third movie. Period. Assumedly, this movie's probably going to be Deadpool mocking No Way Home, kind of crossed with a little bit of Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, only the Marvel Universe being the Fox Marvel Universe. Sounds brilliant. Sounds like a lot of fun. Plus, I mean, just to really hedge their bets, they're doing the whole buddy comedy thing with, Hugh Jackman Wolverine in the yellow suit. Like, this movie is like made of like, what are the few things we haven't really done yet? Like, let's do them all. We have Deadpool in the MCU, or at the very least, at minimum, he's on his way. Like in the movie we're addressing, he's being put into the MCU and he's fighting tooth and nail to get there. One way
I
or
will
another,
admit, it is all the meta stuff that I am
yeah.
definitely excited about with this movie for
This
sure.
movie's either going to be he's there already and he's basically following the MCU script, which is I got to kill off the other guys, or it's like at these he's fighting tooth and nail, like enough of this of the Fox stuff, f the Fox man, and we're gonna get all the, by the end of the movie he's gonna end up in the MCU, and then by the time he gets here he's gonna be disenfranchised with the franchise. Like, wait, really? I missed all the cools. I missed Endgame. What
Oh
the
my.
heck, Marvel? Oh. So there are any
Oh
number
my
of
god,
ways.
Dragon! I could totally see Deadpool like editing himself into the big like splash panel moment of Endgame.
Yeah, imagine this. Just right behind
Yes, I
Spider-Man,
was there the whole time.
holding a sign, I love Spider-Man. Or kiss it, Sony, there's Spider-Man.
uh,
Regardless, there are a number of ways this movie, the directions this movie could go, and all of them will be winners in my book. I'm sure. I'm just the big thing I'm hoping for.
I'm most nervous about the director. I'm not gonna lie.
But he's worked with Ryan Reynolds
I
before.
understand he's fucking worked with Ryan Reynolds. That doesn't make him appropriate for a Deadpool movie.
Well, you're like the one person who doesn't like Free Guy, man.
It'd be like if Christopher Columbus did a Deadpool movie. It just doesn't fit.
I don't know.
Right,
Regardless, you just want to ruin this for me, don't you?
No, I don't. Look, I'm excited for it too. And as a matter of fact, I'm excited for a lot of the movies that are on your list. I am.
Regardless, I think Sean Levy works well, Reynolds. From what I've seen, in my opinion.
I'm not saying he doesn't work well with Reynolds. I'm just saying the source material just doesn't seem to be up his alley. I don't know. He just seems to be such a family-friendly focused director. That's my hesitation.
Last I heard, and they keep going back and forth on this during the production cycle in Deadpool 3. I forget if Rhett Reese and Paul, from what I understood, Rhett Reese and Paul came back for this, which means they've been writing all three movies, and hopefully that is the case because those guys have been the voice of that movie. It's been like a trifecta with those guys and Ryan Reynolds very much being, the script and the voice.
Super Billy does make a good point here that Ryan Reynolds has so much creative control on these films, he might as well be directing it.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's like Levy's like a guy he trusts. So basically, he's now like holding a megaphone while he's in the suit, essentially. So I don't know. Maybe even if Sean Levy is directing it, it feels like there might still the voice still hopefully will be the same going to this one. If not, if anything else, feels like it might even be more coming directly from Reynolds. Quite possibly. I'm just saying, Red Reese and Paul weren't working on this is a huge thing of confidence because over the years, I think that originally it was like the Tuca and Birdie writers, the Burt, not Tuca and Birdie, I think Burt and Birdie, the writers, the directing duo, like they were right. I'm sorry. There was another set of writers that was on Deadpool 3 in the production cycle. I'm just blanking on who they were, but I think they got Red Reese and Paul Waring back for it. And now because of the strike and it's delaying the movie, it sounds like we're going to be able to improvise on the movie, which is good, which is what it should be. Plus, even if it is too late, we can always just dub them in the end. Just have the runners do the voiceover while he's in the mask, so we're covered that way. I'm just hoping my huge victory for this movie is if Hydra Bob shows up, Bob Agent of Hydra shows up.
Sure.
That's my big wish list thing. That's like I have a couple like diehard Deadpool things I'd love to see realized in film, but really like Bob, because we had him in the first movie. We didn't call him, Bob was in the first Deadpool movie. We didn't make him Hydra Bob. That's like the one thing. If we just make him like finally, Bob Agent of Hydra, it'll be flawless. Anyway, so yeah, I'm right now, I think the MCU's hopes and dreams right now really rest on two things. Deadpool 3 being the lock for this year for them, which they've hedged their bets on. And however they approach Daredevil, Daredevil's going to be their TV victory if they can stick the landing on it. Which right now it's up in the
We'll
air, but
find out very soon.
yeah, it'll be the first steps. I mean, it'll be the steps. It'll be a good idea of like, okay, can they manage this, and then can we do the actual thing? But right now, Deadpool's the safe bet. I'm looking forward to it. And right now, it is my sole. Honestly, it's pretty much my sole movie focus of 2024. If I'm being frank, like Deadpool 3 is like where all my attention's going.
That's totally fair.
It's all being channeled to that.
All right, Dragon, just to run down my top 10 really quick, again, for anyone who wasn't here for the whole thing. Number 10, Love Lies Bleeding, the new movie from the director of Saint Maud. Number 9, Dune Part 2. Number 8, Furiosa. Number 7, Wolves, which is a George Clooney, Brad Pitt vehicle directed by Dragon, I'm sorry. I want to say Mark Webb, but I know it's not Mark Webb. Help me out.
You mean John Watts?
Yeah, John Watts. I'm terribly sorry.
How did you forget John Watts?
Okay, it's directed by John Watts. It's John Watts' non-superhero follow-up, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, Mr. Cop
Car. Civil War, not Captain America Civil War,
Ooh.
but Alex Garland's very bleak, apocalyptic-looking Civil War. Let's see. Number 5 for me is Mickey 17. Again, Bong Joon-ho, Robert Pattinson. What more needs to be said?
Well, secretly, he's going to put a set of Mickey Mouse ears on. That's really weird.
Wouldn't that be funny, though?
They can get away with it now.
We can.
It's going to be as long as he whistles, they can get away with it.
Oh my God. It's like Robert Pattinson's just whistling turkey through a straw the whole movie.
Why is Batman whistling?
All right, number 4, Maxine. Number 3, A Quiet Place, Day 1. Number 2, Wicked, or Wicked Part 1. I'm not sure if the Part 1 is like the official title or not yet. And of course, number 1, Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
All right, your top 10.
All right, number 10, Beetlejuice 2. Number 9, Fall Guy. Number 8, Argyle. Number 7, If. Number 6, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Number 5, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Number 4, Joker Folie à Deux. Number 3, Red One. Number 2, Inside Out 2. And number 1, Deadpool 3.
All right. So, yeah, big thanks to Kogias, Keeper Colby, Little Blue, Teddy, Super Billy, and, yeah, Just Giggle It. I'm not sure if you're still here, but, yeah, by all means, reach out. We'd love to hear from you. You guys rock. And let's see. Teddy says your guys naming your movies one by one really shows the different taste. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
All right. So you guys rock. Also, keep voting in the Golden Tikis. I was a little late today. I didn't realize that I hadn't put one out today, so I just put it. I just put up the most recent poll. So keep voting in it, and we will see y'all again later. Have a good one.